Have you ever stared at your bank statement, maybe end of the month, and you're just a bit mystified, thinking, where did all that money actually go? It's a feeling pretty much everyone gets, right? We tend to keep a sharp eye on the big things: rent, maybe a mortgage, car payments, you know the ones. But there's this sneaky culprit that often just slips right under the radar. Those small, what seem like insignificant purchases, they quietly drain your finances. You don't even notice. It's like a magic trick, but with your money.
That is exactly the puzzle we're digging into in this deep dive. We're focusing on something we call convenience spending. Think about those little impulse buys that feel totally harmless. Your daily coffee from the cafe downstairs, maybe a snack you grab when you're out, or those delivery fees because you just don't feel like cooking on their own. Tiny. But our sources show they pack a surprising punch, often hidden but powerful when it comes to your wallet.
Exactly. So our mission today isn't just to expose the hidden cost of these little buys. It's also about the psychology behind why we do it, why we fall for them. We want to show you how they can quietly chip away at your financial health and hopefully help you become more aware, more intentional with your money, turning those aha moments into actual changes you can make, things that feel personal.
Yeah, this deep dive really hooked me right away with something I hadn't fully appreciated before, which is the psychology of it all, the convenience factor. We live in a world where everything's just a tap away, right? A click. Food, rides, shopping, it's all designed to be super easy, ultimate comfort, feels great in the moment. But here's the twist the research points out. It sets up this really powerful feedback loop. It reinforces spending without you even thinking about it.
Right. And the consequence of that reinforcement the sources really illustrate. This is how these tiny, tiny costs can just quietly balloon into really significant amounts over time. What's fascinating is how they compound. The classic example, but it's still so relevant, is that daily $5 coffee. Oh yeah, the coffee example.
Doesn't sound like much, right? $5. But if you do that every single workday, that's what, $1,200 a year. Gone. But it's not just simple math. The source material digs into the behavioral economics of it. It talks about present bias. That's our very human tendency to overvalue right now, immediate gratification. It often makes us kind of blind to the future financial pain. We want the instant comfort, the instant reward, and our brains are actually really good at rationalizing it. Makes it incredibly hard to connect that small spend now with the bigger drain later on.
It really is like financial death by 1,000 paper cuts, isn't it? But doesn't that also mean we're sort of deceiving ourselves?
Yeah.
Or are our brains just wired against saving in these situations? What do the sources say about how we rationalize these? Why don't they feel like a big deal until, bam, you see the total?
That's exactly it. The source argues our brains are masters at compartmentalizing. They use this term mental accounting. Basically, we put these small convenience buys into a totally different mental bucket than our, quote, serious bills, like rent or insurance. So they don't feel like they're hitting the budget in the same way, not until you see that grand total on your statement.
Right.
And look, it's not about denying yourself everything, a treat now and then, that's important for well-being. But the source really emphasized that once you recognize these cognitive biases, these hidden costs, you gain the power back. You can start making truly intentional choices.
I have to admit, my own coffee habit used to be a black hole in my budget.
Yeah.
Seriously. Until I actually sat down, did the math.
Yeah.
It was almost embarrassing how much it added up to. It felt like just grabbing a coffee.
Yeah.
But the reality...
And that is precisely the kind of aha moment the source suggests we often need, when the abstract number suddenly becomes a concrete, maybe even shocking reality. Building on that, the sources also highlight how app designers' services, they really leverage what's called frictionless spending. They deliberately remove any mental speed bumps from the transaction.
Like saving your card details.
Exactly. One-click buying, automatic subscription renewals. Our brains just don't engage the same pain of paying mechanism that happens when you, say, hand over physical cash. It feels like nothing happened, but you're still spending real money.
Okay, so if we pull back and look at the bigger picture here, it's not just about the money vanishing, is it? What does this constant sort of low-level convenience spending mean for our larger financial goals? Or even just our sense of being in control?
That brings up a really important point. Beyond just saving money, the source emphasizes the huge opportunity cost. It's not just that you spent, say, $1,200 on coffee over the year. It's that you didn't invest that $1,200, or you didn't use it to pay down some high-interest debt faster, or put it towards a down payment, or maybe save for a really meaningful trip or experience.
Ah, right. What you could have done instead.
Precisely. It's the silent erosion of your financial potential. It can leave you feeling like you're always just treading water, always trying to catch up, even if you earn a decent income. It dulls your awareness of where your money really goes, and that's a much deeper issue than just a few dollars here and there.
That's a powerful way to frame it, yeah. It shifts the perspective from just like a minor leak in the budget to something that could actually be a major drain on your future. So, okay, what practical strategies do our sources offer? How do we counteract this? Especially when, as you said, our brains seem wired to love convenience.
The sources offer some really great practical tips, mostly focused on behavioral nudges, small changes that make a difference. One simple but surprisingly powerful trick is what they call friction creation.
Friction creation, like making it harder on purpose.
Exactly. Instead of just tracking spending after the fact, try to actively make it harder to make those impulse buys in the first place. For example, delete your saved credit card info from shopping apps or food delivery sites. Or maybe decide to only carry a small set amount of cash for those little daily incidentals. It forces a pause, a moment to think. Another strategy is to track your impulse buys specifically. Don't just lump them into miscellaneous. Actively tag them or categorize them as convenience. See how much that specific category adds up to. Is it the daily coffee, the ride share instead of walking, those little online orders? Once you track them, isolate them, acknowledge them, becomes much easier to create that mental pause, that friction.
And for me, what makes that powerful, like the source implies, is it forces that moment of reckoning we usually try to avoid, right? Another strategy mentioned is planning your purchases with intentional indulgence.
Intentional indulgence, I like that.
Yeah, it's not about cutting out all the nice things or denying yourself completely. That's usually not sustainable. Instead, it's about being mindful, avoiding that knee-jerk buy it because it's an easy reaction. You might even find ways to get that same satisfaction more cheaply. Brewing great coffee at home, maybe packing snacks, or choosing the slower, free shipping option when you're shopping online if you don't truly need it fast. It takes a little extra thought, maybe a tiny bit more effort, but that small bit of friction can save you serious money, and honestly, it feels more empowering in the long run.
Which really brings us to the core question the sources push us towards asking ourselves. Is the convenience really worth the cost? And sometimes, you know what? The answer might genuinely be yes. Maybe that $5 coffee buys you an extra hour of focused work or lets you sleep in a bit. Maybe that's a price you're consciously willing to pay for that specific benefit.
Sort of, that makes sense.
But other times you might look at it and realize, nah, that convenience wasn't actually worth it. You were just paying for a habit. Or maybe paying because you didn't plan for 5 minutes ahead of time. Understanding that distinction, are you buying a genuine benefit or are you just feeding a habit, a reflex? That's crucial for gaining control.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now in your day-to-day life? Maybe the main takeaway is this. Before you swipe or tap or click for something small and convenient, just pause. Take that moment, create that friction for yourself. Ask, is the long-term cost, the opportunity cost really worth this short-term ease? And is there maybe a more budget-friendly way to get what you need or want? Just remember, these small, intentional shifts, they really can add up to bigger savings, bigger financial freedom over time.
Absolutely. Convenience is great. We all love it. It serves real purposes. Let's be clear on that. But when it comes to managing your money effectively, the real power isn't necessarily in total denial. It's in becoming deeply aware of your habits. It's about critically asking yourself, honestly, is this convenience truly worth the price tag right now? Or am I just paying for a reflex, a habit I haven't questioned? So we encourage you to reflect on that. Where might you apply that question in your own daily spending? What little convenience traps might you be falling into without really realizing it? What insights pop up when you start to really question those small, seemingly effortless transactions? The answer is, well, they might just surprise you.